do you call your loved ones and tell them you are never coming home? The sound blasted over the top of what I feared might be my last phone call home. How do you rationalise that your selfish dream has put you in harm's way, that your beloved wife, daughters and son's life will be irrevocably changed within the next few hours, never to be the same again? November 2013, I was 30 kilometres into a 3,400 kilometre polar journey on the Somo-Vecan Glacier in Queen Maud Land, Antarctica. A storm that had been brewing for days was reaching its fiercest point. Wind bullets of close to 200 kilometres an hour lashed my tiny little green nylon tent. The wind chill was well below minus 47 degrees Celsius. The scream of the wind drilled into your very soul, instilling primal fear and panic. The solitude was complete. The likelihood of survival yet slimmer as the storm grew in intensity. Any more wind pressure and the tent was likely to fail, leaving me with no chance of rescue and death by hypothermia imminent. I called home. The sat phone static crackling before Sarah picked up. Sarah was slammed by a wall of noise coming through the phone as I desperately tried to convey that this may be the final phone call. Over the mad flapping of the nylon, over the wildcat wind screams, I made Sarah understand that this just may be one adventure too far. I explained that if the tent breached, despite my best efforts, the all-powerful wind would drive spindrift or loose snow into my down layers. As it melted, it would degrade the thermal properties and all my thermal protection. In a matter of hours, I would succumb by exposure. Blood cooling, heart struggling, then eventually stopping. How would she tell the kids? Silence on the other end of the phone at first, and then a rage and a lioness's roar. After all the training, all the time away from home, all the worry and stress you have put our family through, don't you dare talk of not coming home. Refocus, put your boots back on, get back outside, build that ice wall, protect your tent, and you fight to come back home like you have never fought before. Sarah hung up and burst into tears. On every prior journey, I've created what I call a faith eye image of the safe endpoint. The dream achieved, all my body parts attached, and myself safe and ready to get home. The overarching faith eye image over the top of all the other smaller images was always a clear vision of Sarah and I at 80 years of age, grey and wrinkled, but with laughter lines in the corner of our eyes as we sat together on an imagined deck in rocking chairs side by side, alive and well. During the peak of the storm, the rocking chair faith eye image had begun to flicker, lose clarity, and in fact had gone out like a candle snuffed out. After the phone call, an incredible sadness, even despair, left me. It passed from the tent. I refocused on my faith eye image of the rocking chairs and brought it back into clear view and put my boots back on. For the next 36 hours, I worked continuously in appalling conditions. Yet the wind screamed, the storm pelted my fragile position. I shoveled tons of snow, cut ice brick after ice brick, well past exhaustion. I raged at the storm. Constantly drawing my faith eye image of the rocking chairs on that faraway, warm, sunlit deck back into view. Day 4 and the storm broke. At the Russian base 30 kilometres away, demountables lay on their sides. Vehicles flipped onto their roofs and aircraft with their wings torn off. Yet I had lived. I'd survived previous storms, Saharan sandstorms, cyclones in the Coral Sea, multiple Arctic blows, but none compared to the beast that had just rolled over me. I rang Sarah to let her know I was safe. That our faith eye image of the rocking chairs, of growing old together, still had life, still had chance. Day 53. 3,428 kilometres from Novolarevskaya Station, Antarctica, I stood at Hercules Inlet, looking towards a frozen sea northwards towards Australia. Only the third man to have ever crossed Antarctica coast to coast solo, unsupported. Joy beyond any I had ever felt, knowing I would see my loved ones again. What is the faith I? As far as we know, no other creature on planet Earth has the ability to imagine, to use imagination to access, to create the thought to build future outcomes. The faith I is the refinement of imagination into visible images within your mind that you can meditate on, believe in, use as a roadmap or guardrail to step into your own dream or outcome, no matter how grand or how small. If you see time as a continuum of light and space, the faith I is the grappling hook that you launch through the window of possibility to pull your dream towards your current reality. The faith I image also acts as a template, map, guardrail or guide, giving you warning or foreknowledge of when you're off track or drifting away from achieving the dream you have set yourself. I've used faith I images to get me home from the most inhospitable corners of planet Earth. Landmines, Saharan sands, the infamous Torres Strait, the crevasses of the Greenland Polar Plateau, the remotest parts of Antarctica. I've also used the faith I image to build a veterinary company so far in excess of anything I could have believed in, had I not been saved by this technique so many times in the field. The human brain is a wonderful thing, capable of such grit, resilience, tenacity, self-belief, capable of making magic happen. This tool that I've used so many times is a gift to all of us. It just needs training to perfect. Equally, negative meditation or attitudes will work in the opposite way, ensuring repeat failures, repeat negative outcomes, repeat loss. With discipline and practice, even the pessimist amongst us can learn how to harness the incredible magic of the faith I. This image here is a special one to me. My most recent adventure obsession was to attempt to break the world's longest polar journey once again in Antarctica. To break the 5,000 kilometre barrier was an impossible challenge. To do so, I would need to travel 2,600 kilometres from my start point, climb to the very top of the Antarctic plateau, the Dome Argus, and then from there travel 2,600 kilometres back to my start point. The crux of the expedition was the summiting of the dome, the coldest naturally occurring place on planet Earth. On a warm day in winter, it'll be about minus 90 Celsius. If I could haul 200 kilos of sleds, food, survival gear from the edge of the ice continent across the polar plateau and then up the dome, I would access homeward bound wind flow and be able to use it to return home. This was the faith I image I built in my mind 6 months before the start of the polar expedition. In every fine detail, I saw the orange Scarpa boot, the crisp ice, the chilling minus 50 Celsius air. I saw my boot crunch onto the roof of the Antarctic plateau, the dome's highest point. No human had ever accessed this part of the planet on foot, unsupported on their own steam. I meditated upon the detail of the boot, my body in this faraway, desolate place. 3 months before I set off for Novolarevskaya Station once again, a box arrived from Italy. The boot sponsor Scarpa had sent me my boots. Now, the Scarpa Mistral is the boot that I've always used in the polar regions. It's warm, I like it. It only comes in 2 colours. I control over size, but not colour. Just at my feet was this box. My faith I image was built specifically on an orange boot. I don't know why, but it was just the one I needed. I had meditated on this boot for months. It was now at my feet in a cardboard box buried in biodegradable foam peanuts. I cut the box open, my heart is beating out of my chest, and buried my hand into the packing. As I grabbed the boot, I pulled upwards and saw a blast of orange colour. I roared like a crazed lion. I'd stepped into my faith eye image. I was ready to go. Just under 5 months later, after the most brutal journey of my life, on day 41 of the expedition, having moved continuously for the previous 22 hours, I dropped my kite for the last time and stepped onto the top of the dome in my orange boot. I stepped into my own faith eye image. My own orange boot banged and scuffed up, stepping onto the top of Dome Argus. My reality mirroring imagination so closely that I genuinely felt like I'd been here before. Deja vu underpinning the closeness of the two images. On the homeward journey, I switched to the faith eye image in my mind of the rocking chairs. I worked hard, tried to make good decisions, and refocused on the humble rocking chairs all the way home. 58 days after starting out, I descended the last glacial slope and saw human habitation in the distance. The runway, the aeroplanes, the demountables of the Russian base loomed large on the vast ice expanse. A cleft palate kid, born in a tiny town on the edge of war-torn Uganda, was coming home once more. 5,316 kilometres solo, unsupported, the longest polar journey ever recorded. The first human to summit Dome Argus solo unsupported, and the first Australian to reach the pole of inaccessibility unsupported. I share this not to stroke my ego, but to pass this gift on to you. The gift and the power of the very magic within the faith eye image is available to all of us. It requires you stepping out. It requires faith. Start small, work big. It requires focus, discipline, support. Your faith eye needs to be nurtured to full strength. Build your dreams in all areas of your life. Family, relationships, work, business, personal. Then attach to each of these detailed, visible within your mind images that you can meditate on, focus on, drive towards. Journal your dreams. Draw, even if you suck at drawing, draw images that you can see to represent the faith eye images you are building in your mind. You will be blown away by the power of these images. You create magic, blessings, supernatural doorways open to you. Over time, the belief in the process will allow you to build more and more audacious faith eye images. You have more within you than you know. In the Chronicles of Narnia, the author C.S. Lewis describes the magic cupboard that the children use to access the wonders of Narnia. The faith eye image is our own private cupboard, allowing us to access world denied without you taking a risk, taking the time, allowing the belief in the images you create. The faith eye allows you to defy logic, to achieve the impossible, to bend time, to call on all you have within you to get home one more time. Thank you.